Praise Yahweh, always in all things. Yahweh is our source. Yahweh is our Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel, that has made one covenant. And through reasoning and understanding, and all the lies, all the misdirection, the subterfuge, and all the rabbit trails that they send you on, who is it that disrupts the wood pile? You know, the viper in the background, whose name is death and hell. What is it, Abaddon? Yeah. Anyways, welcome back to Covenant Identity for another thought, concept. But then if you think back with reason, take upon reason, ask the questions. What, when, where, and why. Why is it an old covenant and a new covenant? When in reality, it's historically the original covenant. And after the animal sacrifice part was fulfilled, satisfied, and released from the covenant, the original covenant, was revised. It's not old and new, it's the same covenant. It was revised only to remove the sacrificial animal blood sacrifice, those ordinances. So there's still, I think I heard one time, in actuality, there were 613 laws, and the rest of the 669 were judgments. So there's two categories there. When do the children of Israel want to start enforcing the judgments in their nation, in their nationality? Because nation is the root word to nationality. So, and with that being said, I'd like to introduce this lecture today. We're going to have a parable. It's going to be the parable of the marriage feast. This will be given by please. And today is March 8th, just a few days short of the new year, which I believe is March 21st, 2025. Up some more, please. Now, Passover and unleavened bread feast, not a festival. Easter is the festival. The feast starts April 3rd, runs through the 11th at even. That's in the evening. So, thank you. Today we're going to start out in 1 Corinthians chapter 1 and then set up some concept there, and then we're going to jump back to chapter 15. And depending on how the flow, I might go into Ephesians to pick up a thought here at that point. Then we're going to go back to Luke, pick up the marriage feast parable in Luke 14, Matthew 22, and we're going to end up in Revelations. So, with all being said, Yahweh have mercy on his children. But back to the covenant. The covenant was given to one. It wasn't given to all. It was given to one of the children of Adam, who according to Luke 3:38 was the son of Almighty Yahweh, the Creator God. That's historical fact. So, in comparison, where does that leave us? That the children of Abram, the covenant was made with Abram before he became Abraham. And there's a difference in there as Abram aged. The seed, or the children, the grandchildren, on and on and on, the seed of Abraham only, through Isaac and Isaac's chosen child. Because Isaac had two children, twins, and they fought in the womb. Well, it's stated in Malachi and Romans, one of those children were hated even in the womb. So, you do your homework. I'm not going to remind everybody who that is, because today you have to be careful what you say. But anyways, well, one was a braggart, and one took vengeance, and one was a farmer and a herdsman. And through the man called Israel was the covenant, the original covenant, put to work, employed, and went on to his 14 children. But Ephraim and Manasseh were adopted, so his 12 and the 2 adopted grandchildren made 14, which there is Joseph's double blessing, which Manasseh settled all across the pond from Europe and the North American continent, and Ephraim settled Great Britain, and from there encompassed the world and its territories. So, now you have to remember, this is a spiritual covenant that was wrapped with the silver cord. And there was the blood sacrifice that Abram and Yahweh walked between when this covenant was initiated. And that covenant is everlasting. Even if it's revised, and there's only one who can revise it, and the other, as we apparently have over the years. We worship fish, and we worship the sun, and we worship the moon, and we worship the stars, and the trees, and the laws, and all kinds of things. Church worship the fish. If you'll notice, some of their elevated officials have that hat on with a fish mouth on top of their head. I always wonder, you see some of them, they've got a curve on them, some of them go right straight up to a peak. If there's any difference in the way that fish jaw is molded and fashioned, it has some indication of some level or special cult that they were involved with. Anyways, so now as we start out to discuss the feast, we have to remember that the Feast of the Lamb is in spiritual bodies. This is after all of earth passes away and goes into a new era when it's refurbished, according to 1 Peter. Now, here in 1 Corinthians chapter 1, we stop right here and make notice in verse 1, Paul, who was called to be an apostle. Now, apostle means one that is sent out. A minister or a teacher has a location. An apostle has a destination. An apostle of Emmanuel the Christ, through the will of Yahweh God, the Holy One of Israel. And so Thessalonians, our brother, unto the church of Yahweh, which is in Corinth, or better stated, according to church, being the ecclesia, unto the chosen of Yahweh, which is at Corinth, to them that are sanctified in Yahweh the Christ. It says in the book here, in Christ Jesus. But remember that the Word became flesh. So is Jesus here being referred to that they are sanctified in this Word?